Welcome to Women Mastering Midlife, where we dive deep into the rich complexities of womanhood in our middle years. I'm your host, Victoria Bird, a pharmacist, certified women's health coach, and your guide on this transformative journey. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, thriving in menopause, or mastering midlife's many transitions, this is your weekly dose of expert guidance, compassionate support, and a judgment-free space to explore it all. Here, we're empowering women to master midlife on their terms, reclaiming our health, our happiness, and our power. Together, we'll rewrite the narrative around this remarkable stage of life, from something to dread into a beautiful, bold transition. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much, Jenny, for coming on the podcast today. I saw your product. I think you guys reached out to me through Instagram via message and said, we have this product. Could you try it for us? And I did. And then I was like, wait a minute. I went down the rabbit hole of calcium supplementation and what you guys are doing. And I thought this is something that deserves its own podcast episode. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Victoria. I'm especially excited for this conversation because we are both pharmacists. And so we can speak to the language of pharmacy and chemistry and talk about our chews in an in-depth way. So thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. I was excited to see. I always get excited when I see pharmacists doing non-pharmacy things.
Exactly.
It is pharmacy related. There is research behind it, but also stepping outside of the traditional white coat of pharmacy is also very awesome. And the entrepreneurship and a female-owned company, you got to stand behind it, of course.
Oh, thank you.
So a little bit of backstory about you and what drew you to getting into researching and developing your product and your company.
Yeah. So I was a practicing clinical pharmacist. I'm board certified in ambulatory care. And so I was managing the interdisciplinary pain clinic here in upstate New York at the Veterans Affairs Hospital. So we work in an interdisciplinary team. Providers would see patients, diagnose the type of chronic pain that the patient was having, and then refer to the pharmacy service for treatment. So I was practicing in that capacity. I was doing that for, the past 8-10 years, but my life completely changed after I had my daughter. So 2 months postpartum, I was breastfeeding and I rolled off a yoga ball and started to have really bad back pain. And it wasn't the back pain that I just strained something, it hurt to pick up my 8-pound newborn, and it hurt to take deep breaths. And so all of these things led to a lot of tests and consultations and things. And I was eventually diagnosed with what I have now, which is called pregnancy-lactation osteoporosis, because they found multiple vertebral fractures in my spine. And so all of this was going on, and it kind of forced me to really take a look at my health and really understand how important bone health is for women in all of our life stages, whether that be teenage, adolescence, going through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. Bones are so important throughout our lifespan, and I just did not realize that until this thing happened to me. And so then I put on the lens of my clinical pharmacist and then a patient, and I realized that there's this huge gap that we are not providing women with a good calcium supplement option, right? I think the number is about 40 million American women have low bone density, and all of these women are seeking, how do I get my calcium from food? And if I can't get it from food, how do I get it in supplements? And what they find, and what I found as a patient, is that they would roam the supplement aisles and be faced with these just poor supplements, calcium carbonate and silo, calcium citrate maybe, and they're fine options, but they're not ideal. And I think that was my main issue, is that why aren't there good options for all these women going through the same thing that I'm going through? So this is a long-winded answer to say that I wanted to find a better solution and offer that solution to all these women going through the same thing. And so me and my co-founder, Adrienne Bittar, she lectures food studies here at Cornell. We kind of combined our expertise to formulate the first patented calcium chew that's only made from real food ingredients. Because as we know as pharmacists, the bioavailability of calcium from food is far superior to anything man-made or rock-derived from chalk or limestone. And so that is how our calcium chew came to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. The more I talk with people who've created something to solve a problem, it's always been, this was an experience in my own health. I had to advocate, I had to find a solution. What was available wasn't great.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it feels like women's health issues, it's even more on the forefront. But so at 29, I mean,
Yeah.
having a baby, the last thing in the world I would have thought is osteoporosis.
Trust me too. Like, we're both in the health space, but I literally I did not have any idea that back pain that I was experiencing was related to spinal fractures or osteoporosis. I thought maybe, and this is what my doctors told me too. They were like, it's probably because of the posture changes from, having a newborn, and I had a C-section, and maybe that was contributing. And that narrative was going on for like 2-3 months, and I was still having inexplicable back pain. And that's what kind of prompted me to do the research on my own. And I found my current endocrinologist, who's a leader in early onset osteoporosis, myself, and I enrolled myself into her study for this condition.
Yeah, and then you become, the patient becomes the teacher too, and the founder of a new company. So when you were looking at different kinds of products that were available, and you really weren't sold on the bioavailability of supplements. I mean, I try to tell women when I work with them one-on-one that if you can get your nutrients from food, you're better off. And a lot of the supplements, not only is the bioavailability low, but then there's also fillers and fake products out there. And so have you found any of that being an issue as well?
Oh my God, totally. That was, I think, one of the things that pushed me over the edge, because if you just Google search like calcium chew or calcium supplement, I guarantee you like one of 3 brands are going to come up. The first one being Viactive, right?
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah.
It comes in a hot pink tub, very outdated, and it's like Viactive, like it's chocolate flavored.
Yeah.
And as soon as you turn the label around, you look at the ingredients, and the first thing listed is corn syrup. And that just like blew my mind, because the dosing was, they recommended eating one of those twice a day. And if you have osteoporosis, this is a lifelong commitment. They want you to do that for 40 plus years. Like, corn syrup should not be the first ingredient. And that really kind of, you could see right now, like that made me angry. I'm like, why do women, like they shouldn't be consuming corn syrup in a health supplement. And then when I dug a little deeper, I also found, and this is a fun fact, not fun, but really interesting, is that Caltrate, a very common supplement brand for calcium supplements, they have red dye 40 in there. Absolutely no health reason, but because they wanted the pill to be pink. Like, mind blown, right?
Yeah.
So exactly, like fillers, preservatives, dyes, unnecessary added sugars are put into these health supplements for women to consume for 30 plus years, 40 plus years of their life. And it's just not right. We know what's better. Women know what's better. They know that they don't want to be consuming those things, but there was just never a better option.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, when you look at nutrition and you're telling women not to consume more than 25 grams of added sugar a day, and you look at the gummies or the vitamins that are options, and they have 9 to 10 grams of added sugar in a dose, you're thinking that's half of my added sugar allotment almost. Like, that seems kind of silly for something that, is supposed to help you supplement what your diet is lacking. And, it'd be okay if it's lacking sugar, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was a big consideration for us when we were kind of thinking through what form factor do we want our chew to be in. We wanted it to be in something that people can eat, because we only use food ingredients, right? But then we also wanted it to have no added sugar. So that's where the dates come in. And so a lot of this kind of played out in our heads, like, how do we provide this so maybe diabetic women can safely consume it, or people with lactose intolerance can safely consume it while still getting all the good nutrition from milk. So yeah, a lot to think about when making a supplement.
Yeah, so they are quite tasty, I will say. And it's so easy. I just have it on my counter and I like when I'm going to make my coffee, it's like, oh, it's right there. And so it's quite nice. So what made you guys decide on the foods that you use to create the supplement?
Oh yeah, that was a long process. So we were in R&D for nearly 2 years, just ingredient sourcing, recipe testing. Thankfully, Cornell has a really excellent food science program, and so we were able to get help there. But we really came down to like, we pared it down to what are our fundamentals. We want to focus on calcium because we know that this is an issue, and 60% of the population just don't consume enough. So that was our core. And we know that vitamin D is necessary for the absorption of calcium. So we needed that there. And then from there, we're like, what food sources provide these nutrition in a concentrated way? And we know from 50 plus years of research in dairy and in milk that milk is one of the absolutely best sources of calcium from food. It's very concentrated. And not only that, it provides all the other minerals that are needed for bone health in the ratios that are found in bone. So it has magnesium, phosphorus, copper, iron, and zinc, again, in the ratios naturally present in bone. And then we added in milk protein because there's research that shows that milk protein plus calcium from dairy, it enhances the absorption of that. And so that's how we kind of came at it. We're like, what's the fundamentals and how do we keep the label as clean as possible without any of those additives, extra ingredients? There's nothing to make the manufacturing easier, which is a whole nother thing, but we wanted to keep it as clean as possible.
So when you're talking about the absorption of the calcium, and we talked a little bit about how supplements have bad bioavailability and bad absorption. What makes Scene different from the standard tablet on the shelf?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when you go to your pharmacy, wherever that may be, and you turn around these calcium supplement bottles, most likely you'll find calcium carbonate, calcium citrate. Those are the two most common synthetic calcium forms, right? And those are providing those synthetic calcium in silo. Sometimes you'll find that they're formulated with vitamin D, but it's providing that calcium and then that vitamin D in silo. Ours is that we use milk as our source for the calcium and the minerals. So we're not taking a little bit of this and a little bit of this and artificially trying to mimic what's in milk. We're literally just taking the minerals from milk through a process similar to the cheese making process, where all the liquid and the fat and the lactose and all the protein is removed. And then you're just left with the minerals from milk. So it's a very pure process. And because calcium is a mineral, it's not degraded by heat. So, heat is used in the cheese making process, but because of that, the nutrition is retained. And so then those minerals in complex are added into our chew. And so you're getting the goodness of milk without all the fat and the calories.
And then you have dates in there for taste as well. What is it, just a milk and a date? Are there any other food sources that are in the shoe?
Yeah, so we have the milk minerals, the dates, then the vitamin D mushrooms. So mushrooms are one of the only vegetables that their skin kind of mimics like what our human skin does when we see the sun. It endogenously makes vitamin D. So we use white button mushrooms that have been kind of soaked in the sun to generate vitamin D, and that's the source for our vitamin D in our chew. And then we also have almonds just for crunch and for taste, because you want to enjoy your calcium. So we wanted it to taste good, and you want texture in there. So that's why that's in there too.
Okay. So, and I think one of the things that I've had this debate with somebody recently about food as medicine and that approach. And, when I decided that I was going to I wasn't going to go back into a retail pharmacy setting, but I preferred doing integrative health and wellness because I think there's a lot we can prevent and there's a lot we're putting a Band-Aid on with
Yes.
pharmaceuticals and with pharmacy medicine. But I've always said, I don't feel like food is medicine. It should be preventative and not the
Yes.
treatment for the disease or a treatment for the problem, but actually preventing the problem. But you're kind of proving me a little wrong.
No, I agree with you 100%, Victoria, actually, because we wrestled with this thought too. We're like, we don't want to come off with the notion that like people take away that food is medicine and then don't take their medicine. Like that's not what we want at all. So we say the tagline on our website you'll see is that food is medicine when it comes to prevention. We actually have those exact words that you just said. So I think we take the same approach, and probably because I also have received functional medicine training. And so it's true. Food is preventative for chronic conditions, and then it should be part of treatment plans. But it doesn't replace treatment plans. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be a candidate for pharmacotherapy, but it should always be a part of the plan.
Thank you. I'm still right. I'm gonna mark this. What point are we in this recording? I'm gonna mark this so I can send it to them. Like, I'm still right.
Yeah, I know. It's always this debate. And I feel like a lot of things right now on social media is like this or this, but it can be both, right? And I think the nuance may get lost in social media, and I totally get that. But I think, clarifying like it can be this and this at the same time.
Yeah. And filling nutrition gaps with supplementation is, sometimes it is a necessary evil, but at the same time, if you can really find a good food source, then, you're not going to have the need for the supplementation that you would otherwise. But it's nice to know that even though the scene chews are considered a supplement, it's still a food source. So you're kind of like hitting it from both directions.
Yeah. And that's the kind of dilemma that we're always in, and that we intentionally put ourselves in, because we are, in a lot of ways, we are a supplement because we're supplementing your diet. But then we run nutrition facts on our chews. We intentionally did that. We don't run supplement facts because supplements are not regulated by the FDA. There's no oversight. Literally anyone can make a supplement. But nutrition facts and food products are regulated by the FDA. And so I don't know why we make it harder on ourselves, but we're like, let's do nutrition facts because that's our fundamentals. We're like, this is a food, so why would we call it anything else? And we want to be very transparent. And so that's why we chose that.
Yeah, I don't know about your pharmacy education, but when we talked about supplements, it's like, this is the Wild West.
Yeah.
Try to avoid dispensing or recommending, and even to this day, when I have women come to me and ask me for a reputable brand, it's like, oh gosh, okay, what am I going to stake my name on? And what am I going to stake my, even my license on recommending? And then you have the issue of counterfeits, I mean, it's really terrifying. There's a couple big, 2-day shipping facilities that I have known. I don't recommend buying. I don't give links for supplements from there anymore because you really can't be guaranteed that it's going to be legitimate and not a fake.
Yeah, that's why it's scary. And that's another reason why we chose to do nutrition facts and really position ourselves as food, because I just felt wrong, like as a pharmacist, contributing to a problem, to a space that has so much, issue and gray space and lack of transparency. And so like you, people would ask me all the time, like, what supplement for this, or what about this? And they would throw out things that I haven't even heard of anymore.
Yeah.
And then we have to do the research ourselves and look into the articles and things. But I mean, I think I hope that that's one of the reasons that practitioners feel confident in recommending ours, because it is from food and it's made from people who actually do the research and look at the studies behind the product.
Yeah, this is the first supplement of any kind that I would have on my podcast or my website and say, like, this is something that I stand behind. I would suggest it to women. And it's also, it doesn't hurt to take it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've told women it's hard to get a DEXA scan or get your T-score. You know, sometimes insurance companies won't cover it if you're not old enough or you don't have a reason to look at it. And so it doesn't hurt to add it in to your day, and it's easy and it doesn't taste bad either. So that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I'll tell you,
pluses there.
those Viactive chews. Oh, I remember, sorry, it's terrible of me, but I remember in pharmacy school, we were learning about all the diagnostics. And I remember I came back like osteopenic at 23 and I was like, wait, what? And so then I started consuming Viactive chews like that was going to help.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and then it was crazy because it was borderline, but I thought that's not good at my age to have that kind of an issue. So, you know, I've actually been able to course correct a lot with resistance training and my diet, but it's scary to think I could have gone, if I wasn't in pharmacy school, I could have gone many, many years without knowing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I look at my lineage and my grandparents, and I don't want to be feeble when I'm 70. And and the risks of the morbidity attached to a hip fracture is terrifying.
Yeah. It's terrifying. And it's like people say like, oh, well, like don't scare people. But I think that's the wrong approach because you need to know what's coming in order to prepare, right? It's terrifying, but those are the facts. We're not making these numbers up. And I think the hopeful part is that you can change those statistics by doing things now. And so, I agree with you. Like, even though my diagnosis has completely changed my life, my future family planning and all of that, I take it as a blessing in disguise because I was diagnosed at 30. So that means I have 10, 20, 30 more years to work on my bone health that I wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah. And so, like now I'm following Dr. Lisa Moore, Rebecca Rothstein, to do all of my exercises and start strength training. I never done this before, but now I've been doing it for 3 years pretty consistently. And while like bone density doesn't change that drastically, but I feel stronger. I know that I've gained more muscle. And I think that's really important, especially when it comes to like balance and fall prevention too. So I think it's a good thing. And I think a lot of people should get their baseline DEXA scan or some sort of risk assessment to see where they're at. Like you said, I don't think it hurts. And most people probably aren't taking enough calcium, so it probably won't hurt.
No, because we were told like once we're 2, we should not have dairy anymore. Like we shouldn't have milk.
I know. Where did that come from?
I don't know. I mean, my kids, as long as I think there was just such a fear of obesity and they tied it to milk.
Yeah.
I mean, not the crazy sugary cereals that we were putting the milk in. It's not like certainly not that, or the processed fast food we're eating. That's not causing child obesity. It's the
certainly
milk.
Not.
So we should stop the milk. Yeah, I actually, I had read that milk fats help with neuron development when the kids were little. So my kids have been on milk until they actually still drink milk. I mean, as long as there isn't an intolerance, like I don't know why you'd stop.
Yeah, and I think getting a high quality milk source is great. And I think it's so important for especially growing kids. We know that you're actively laying down bone the most in that adolescent teenage time. And if you're just eliminating dairy as a whole, oh my God, that scares me. Like it scares me for the next generation. So even though dairy is really well funded, and that's why we have so much research in dairy, I think the opposite side of it is also really well funded, the anti-dairy side. So that's where we're getting these two really juxtapositioning opinions. But again, there's a lot of goodness in dairy, and I'm not funded by dairy at all. Like I'm just saying from a clinical and scientific standpoint, there's a lot of good that comes with dairy. So let's not eliminate it completely, but maybe select what works for us depending on our tolerance and what we can safely consume.
Yeah. It's those 7-second video clips on social media that are sensationalized to scare us in or out
like
of things.
In the cows where they're like suffering and stuff.
I know. And it is who has the money. That really is.
Yeah.
That really can make a big difference.
I wanted to pause for a quick moment to share a free resource I've created just for you. Did you know that after age 30, we naturally start to lose more bone than we build? Over time, this can increase the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. But here's the good news. There are simple, science-backed strategies you can use today to keep your bones strong and healthy. That's why I put together a free guide called Your Guide to Healthy Bones. Inside, you'll find the top nutrients your bones need, the best food sources, lifestyle tips, and even a breakdown of how much calcium and vitamin D you should be getting each day. It's a practical, easy-to-follow resource you can start using right away. You can download your free copy by heading down to the show notes and clicking the link for the free Healthy Bones Guide.
I was thinking about this when you were talking about laying the foundation for good bone health. And, in my 40s, I'm 45 now, and I can look back and know that when I was 25, I could care less about what my 45-year-old body was going to look like. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care if it was fit. I didn't care if it was strong. I didn't care if it was thin. I wasn't even thinking that far advanced. Yeah. But now that I'm 45, I can look at 65 and 70 and beyond and think, I have to take care of my body right now in order. So that wisdom of experience and knowing what's down the pike, it's like now is the time to really invest in that foundation if you didn't already when you were younger.
Why do you think that happened at 45 for you and not like 35? Was there something that happened? Was it perimenopause or?
No, I mean, I think it's over the last 5 years. So I did my my first health coaching certification was in during COVID. So 20, I finished it in 2020. And that's when I started recognizing there are lifestyle choices that you can make and nutrition choices that you can make. Yeah. I mean, I grew up with Lunchables and Hamburger Helper and Kool-Aid Man. So those are the things that I didn't know. And then once you know better, you do better. So that's when I started making those nutrition changes. And so I always say over the last 5 years is when I really recognized it, but I certainly wasn't thinking about it when I would make my Taco Bell runs after working the pharmacy shift.
Yeah, I would literally, in college, me and my roommate and I would go to the gym, but the gym just meant sitting in the sauna, and then coming out of it, we would stop by the local store and get a pint of Ben & Jerry's. That was my wellness routine in college.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I feel like we all need some wake-up call to really come to our realization that our health is so important. And I'm glad that women are realizing that earlier on.
Yes. Oh, well, for us to be in healthcare, I feel like the education around taking care of ourselves and nutrition, I'm hopeful that there's more integrative medicine and there's more functional medicine courses being offered. I went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy, which is now University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy. They keep changing the acronyms. Yeah, which is good because it was a do or die pharmacy program. If you didn't make it, you were your credits counted for nothing. But now they have administration and masters of health and those kind of things that they offer, which is great. But we never talked about, we called it weeds and seeds. I took herbs and medicinals.
I like that.
It was a 7:00 at night class. We would go get a beer and a sandwich and then go back to class. Yeah. So, I mean, just the lifestyle that we lived was so unhealthy. And the education we were receiving was more just Band-Aid.
Yeah, same. And so I went to UC San Diego for my pharmacy school. And I think we had an OTC lecture series, and it was maybe a total of 6 hours for the whole quarter. And honestly, it was not in depth at all. Even though the pharmacists are the ones in the retail setting is where you interface with patients the most when it comes to supplements. But we really didn't get that enough. It was only when I was practicing and really patients came up to me asking about supplements is when I really realized I need to know this space a lot better than I do. And so, fun fact, I just went to UC San Diego to give the alumni commencement speech.
Oh,
yeah, that was in May. And they invited me because they're like, oh, you're doing something really different in pharmacy and we want to kind of showcase that. And so I spoke to that, and it's exciting because I could see the school is kind of trying to adapt their curriculum to how healthcare is changing, right? We know AI is here. We know retail pharmacies are taking a hit a lot because of that. We know that social media is really impacting healthcare. And so they were asking those questions, which I found promising. They're like, well, what do you see in practice? And what do you think we should change and focus on? So I think it would be great. I know medical schools are shifting towards having menopause education. I think pharmacy schools should have that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've talked to a lot of menopause specialists about how, whenever I get licensed in a state or I have to renew my license, there'll be one CE credit on Medicare Part B, or there'll be HIPAA,
Yeah.
or, and when I went to Washington, it was HIV and AIDS training. And then when I was in Oregon, it was death with dignity. So there's all these different things. Why can't we have one or two CE credits required for menopause education? Like, why can't we go over hormone therapy guidelines? Because I feel like from a retail standpoint, we're kind of the stopgap when they finally get care and they finally get the prescriptive options that they've been looking for as patients. Then they get to the pharmacy counter and the pharmacist comes across some sort of red flag and they're like, no, we can't fill this for you. And then, there's just more frustration. So
yeah, I think definitely like providers and pharmacists, we're moving together. And so we need to also change how our profession is too. Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm going to like jump off of this direction and I'm going to go back over to Scene. And what made you guys come up with the name Scene? I've been wanting to know this myself.
Oh, I love this question. We call ourselves Seen because we want women to feel seen in all stages of life, right? We thought about some particularly vulnerable stages, at least that we've been through, is postpartum. Menopause is a particularly vulnerable state where you often feel unseen. The attention is on the newborn baby, or the attention is on, or don't listen to mom, she's just going through a phase, that kind of thing. And I didn't like that narrative. Adrienne didn't like that narrative. We want to shine the spotlight on the woman during these vulnerable times. And we want them to feel like they have solutions for their own body. And so that's where Scene Nutrition came about.
That's awesome. So for people who are interested in finding the product, where can they find you? Aside, you have a website. Is that the main source of where to find the product?
Yeah, that's our main source right now, just at www.scenenutrition.com. And then we are in actually some select independent pharmacies throughout the US and in some medical offices too. So we have our chews in some menopause clinics, primary care clinics, endocrinology clinics, rheumatology clinics. So we're trying to expand that a little bit more so that when women are diagnosed or maybe the conversation comes up about bone density, they have our chews right there available to them. But yeah, right now, primarily online.
And so what's something that you are working on for Scene for the future? Like, what are you guys currently doing?
Yeah. Well, our big picture is that we want Scene Nutrition to be the place that women go to look for supplements for bone health. And so obviously we started off with calcium, but we want to expand our line so that we have all of the supplements for bone health, but sourced only from food. So without revealing too much, we hope to launch something in the fall that will kind of cover a little bit more. And sometimes like it's not going to be possible, right? Like it's hard to find food sources for everything, which is why it takes us so long to prototype something. But we do want to provide food first supplement options for bone health and provide a whole bone health bundle.
That's so awesome. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about like all the complexities of what you have to do because you're looking at like shelf life, stability, bioavailability, taste, texture, cost, research. Oh my gosh.
That's like the preliminary phase. And then what is actually the most difficult, I'll tell you, Victoria, is that finding a manufacturer that aligns with the company's vision. Because like I said, we don't like spray anything on the equipment to let the chews come out easier. We don't add any additives. That's what usually the additives are for, to help the manufacturing process. And I get it. It makes it a lot easier, but that's been hard for us because we're so specific. And so we need to find a very specific manufacturer.
Wow. There's so much that goes like what? I mean, I want to say what possessed you, but what possessed you?
You know what? It just came out of nowhere. Like you only start to realize it when it's already in your face, right? Like
Yeah.
first it started off with, okay, like what ingredients are we going to use? Okay, now we got that solved. Okay, now how are we going to make it in our home kitchen? That's solved. How are we going to make it at scale? And then by the time you know it, you're already in the thick of it.
You're so far down the rabbit hole, there's no return.
Yeah. No return here.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I feel like once I get my clinical slash research, I hated chemistry, but chemistry brain into all of it, it's like I've seen it. I can't unsee it. I have to fix it.
Exactly. And it was like, I think we get really good products when people who made the product had the issue themselves.
Yeah.
And it was an issue that I didn't want to face for the rest of my life. So maybe it was a selfish reason, but I just knew I couldn't swallow those horse pills for 40 years. I also knew it was never going to be feasible for me to eat calcium at the targets that I needed every day. It's just not possible. And so I needed to find something and find a solution fast. And so I did it for myself, but then we also knew that this is something that a lot of women need.
That's one of the powers of women, I'd like to
Yeah.
say, by the way. I think that's what we're really good at. And also it's so easy because you're also thinking lifestyle women. I don't, I'll speak like I know all women suffer from this, but we get busy. We're doing things for like we have to
Yeah.
get the kids out of the house in the morning. We have to get out of the house in the morning. There are times when it's, I mean, like right now it's 11:40 here and I'm like, "Oh, what have I eaten today?" I mean,
Yeah.
it happens. Or you're ordering groceries for the family and what they'll eat and maybe not necessarily what you need. And so to be able to have something that's quick and convenient, it's really
Yes.
thoughtless. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, you don't even need a glass of water with it. You can just take it and eat it while you're walking, to go let the dog out into the backyard or whatever. There's no thought process behind it. And it's not a horse pill. That's those calcium supplements. I mean,
They're horse
it's
pills.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't ask a 75-year-old woman. Just swallow that thing.
I know. And like we should know this by now that like as
Yeah.
we age, swallowing gets harder. Well, how's that going to happen with those big pills? It's just not. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's what we wanted. We wanted it to be super convenient. And people thought like, oh, maybe you should like mix it up, change. We're like, no, 500 milligrams in one chew because we know that that's the easiest thing. One time of day. As soon as you add like a second time of day, that second time of day doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
let's just stick with one, keep it super simple.
Yeah. I mean, the pharmacist in you knows that compliance goes through, like, it just drops into the tank the minute you're asking somebody to do something more than once.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quite tasty. Honestly, sometimes when I'm really, really hungry, if I take one, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't take another. I shouldn't eat another. I mean, it wouldn't hurt me, but then like,
I know.
then I'm running out early because I have mine on auto ship. So
I
I
know.
subscribe to it. So
I
it's
love
like,
that.
I don't want it
So-
to run out too early.
Let me ask you a question because I love asking this to people who are on our subscription for our calcium chews. So how do you typically eat your chew? Is it like at a certain time of day or with something or without something?
I have it out on my counter by the coffee maker. And when I hit the start button on my coffee, I eat it. Like I don't need anything to drink with it.
I love
First
that.
thing.
Yes.
Because I'm not really an eat in the morning kind of person, but that's tasty. And so I feel like I'm eating something without having like a giant breakfast. So
Yeah.
it makes me mentally feel better about the fact that I haven't really had breakfast yet.
Yeah, I find it kind of like satiating, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
I have it so I have it in between breakfast and lunch with my iced coffee every morning. And like, I feel like I get hungry around 11 a.m. right before lunchtime. Instead of eating lunch earlier, I have a chew and that holds me over until like 12:31.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, well, I mean, I like dates and peanut butter are a good treat. I love to stuff peanut butter in dates.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of getting that with the chew a little bit without having the stickiness of a date and the peanut butter. It's a lot easier to consume on the go.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you tried the peanut butter with our chews?
No.
I'm obsessed with that right now because one of our customers told us like she tried it and it's delicious and that's replaced all of her desserts. And so I was like, okay, I have to try this. So you put a little dollop of peanut butter on a chew and it tastes like a Snickers bar, like a really healthy Snickers bar.
Ooh.
It's
I'm
delicious.
gonna have to try that. I'll try it tomorrow. I can't do it today because I already had mine, but
Yeah.
I'll have to try that. I mean, I guess I could. It wouldn't hurt me, but I don't want to waste them. I need to keep
Save the
I need to keep my day
chews.
supply. Yes, that sounds really good. And you get healthy fats in the peanut butter. I mean, I argue all the time that peanut butter is not a source of protein, but it is a good source of healthy fat. So you're getting a little bit of that, which will help satiate, but also it does feel like a dessert. I mean, if you're somebody, I'm thinking now my health coaching cap is on for women who need something sweet after dinner.
Yes.
If they don't want to have dessert because then it becomes a tub of Ben and Jerry's or whatever, that's a really great alternative.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of women have been emailing us and saying that. They're like, I always feel like I have to have something sweet after dinner, and this has replaced it. So, it's a big thing.
That's better than like a Dove chocolate square because it's actually providing you some health nutrition.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's a twofer.
Sorry,
two for
my
one.
light bulbs are on. Don't
I'm
mind
glad.
me. Nobody can see it, but yeah, that's awesome. And it's, I'm trying to think of like, I already have clients I'm going to message when I'm done with
Oh,
this.
yay.
It's like the ones, especially the ones who always, they feel guilty about dessert.
I know.
There's so much around food for women that it's frustrating for me to like deal with, like not deal with, but hear all the hangups around food. So this is a nice way to deal with the dessert thing.
Yeah. I see the light.
you.
Yeah, I see the wheels turning in your head right now. You're like, okay, I'm going to call this person and this person.
Yeah. These are things they need to try. And they really, they really are good. I'm not going to lie. Okay.
Oh, well, thank
All right.
you.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for talking about the supplement and how it came to be and why it's important. And I love getting a little nerdy pharmacist action every once in a while. Some people look at me like I'm crazy when I got my mortar and pestle over here, my little like beaker coffee mug, and they're like, "You're a little sideways about this pharmacy stuff," but you get it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to talk with you about this, and I'm excited to see what comes down the pike, what may be coming in the fall. I'll have to message you and be like, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, you'll see it. And if you're curious, if you're listening and you're curious about what's coming in the fall, then please subscribe to our email list and we'll make sure everyone there knows first.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and thank you for your research and your work and your product.
Thank you, Victoria. I had so much fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Women Mastering Midlife. If something you heard today resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with a friend who might need a little extra support on her midlife journey. Remember, small changes can make a big difference, and you don't have to navigate this transition alone. We will be back next week with more expert guidance and compassionate conversations to help empower you to master midlife on your terms. Until then, you can find us on Instagram at Women Mastering Midlife, or come connect with me directly at Miss Victoria Bird. And you're looking for deeper connection and support, be sure to join us in the Women Mastering Midlife community. We'd love to continue the conversation with you there. If you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us reach more amazing women mastering midlife just like you. You'll find all the links from today's episode and ways to connect in the show notes below. See you next time.